Good morning, church. Whew, a little bit of a wobble then. I haven't even got started. The overall response when I've told people that I'm getting baptized has been, I thought you were baptized. Jean's response was, what, you? And Gerard's response was, who's going to do the video? So, anyway, here I am, and really, I thought you were baptized, so let's skip the first 60 years. Let's skip the first 65 years and move straight to Lent this year. Jean decided, I've gone again. Jean decided, not that Jean, this Jean down here, this Jean here decided we should go to 40 stories of hope. And 40 stories of hope is a set of testimonies about people who are so low. They're in prison, they're leading wicked lives, and somebody comes along and shares the good news of Jesus Christ with them. And there's 40 of these stories. And to be honest, after week 2, I was a bit bored. Because I know that story. I know God works like that. But I've never been like that. I've never killed anyone. I've never stolen. I've never done. My parents had me baptized when I was little. I grew up in the United Reformed Church. I stood up and said, I believe in Jesus. Or probably I didn't do that bit. Not back then in the 60s or whenever it was. But now I say, I believe in Jesus. Yes. Yes, Lord. Anyway, I want to give 3 people a name check. That's Malcolm for the Methodists, he was a bit bored with the course as well. So he started going on about, we should run another course called not Jesus' disciples, Jesus' apprentices. And he went on about this for a couple of weeks. And then I turned up. And he starts on it again. And I said, well, you know what that means? You're going to have to get baptized. And I went, hold on, where did that come from? Because, hold on, you've got to get baptized. And I went away and thought about it. So there's 3 name checks I need to do. There's this guy called Malcolm, and then there's another little guy called Dawit, and a big guy called Philip. And I need to get their names in there somewhere. Anyway, I went away and thought about it. I actually started reading a book called Jesus' Apprentices, and I can't remember a word of it. I cannot remember a word of it. Anyway, being a retired old man, I get to watch the telly at breakfast. Yeah, I get to watch breakfast time whilst I'm having my breakfast. And sometimes, normally when Laura Kunzberg's on, I get so angry. I get so angry, I go off to watch somebody buying a house on Channel 17 or Channel 23 or something like that. You know what I mean? Homes Under the Hammer or Escape to the Country anyway, that's what I normally do. I go straight there. Anyway, this day, I was having a bit of a tantrum. I pressed the button and I went to Channel 2, BBC 2, and I met Dawit, run the VT.
Following a difficult birth just over 5 weeks ago, it's going to be a tough climb for Dawit's mother, Negasty.
So if you can turn the volume down, that big. Dawit is an Ethiopian Highlander. Well, he's the baby. And Ethiopian Highlanders, have we got any in today? That's a relief because I can tell you anything I like about them and you've got to believe me today. Anyway, they build their churches at top of mountains, in caves. And it's 40 days into Dawit's life and his parents have got to get him baptized. And so at 9 o'clock in the morning,
9 a.m.
any of you set off for church at 9 this morning?
It will take them
They set off to go to church. And this is their story. You're not going to get to watch all 8 minutes of it. They start climbing. And I really believe God programmed BBC Two for me. And this is what they have to do to take their baby to get it baptized. And I thought, hold on a minute, all I got to do is walk up the ramp. Yeah, I can do that. I trust in that ramp. I built it. So none of this was an issue for me. So, what I did mean, there was 4 things that struck me about this, and I've missed the important one. Did you spot his dad's trainers? God, I think they're Nike Airs, but I can't be sure. And I spent a lot of time watching this wondering, do Amazon deliver to Ethiopian highlands or not? But anyway, back to the real message which I got from this. Here was a family that were willing to take risks like this. People have fallen off here and died, and they were willing to take this risk. The only risk I've got to take is standing here talking to you guys. And they were doing this because this is a tradition. I've been in the Baptist tradition now for 30 years, and I've not been baptized because it never seemed appropriate. It never seemed important. But as I say, I asked God about it. And he sent me this because it is important. And it registered on 3 levels, the last of which we've met out is Philip. Philip is in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 8. And do you know the story of the Ethiopian eunuch? I had the fortune, because I was I suppose I still am, an accredited Baptist lay preacher. I had the great pleasure to preach at the baptism of a friend of mine called Gordon. Is Don here this morning? Where's Don? Don not here. Well, Don was there, and he knows Gordon, one of the guys that would inherit the earth. Lovely guy, and I had the great pleasure of preaching at this, and the text we had was this. And we have this story of Philip being called out to see the eunuch who's coming back from Jerusalem, and the eunuch is reading his Bible, and God says, go out and talk to him. And Philip runs alongside or gets in the coach or whatever happens, and he talks to this Ethiopian. Now, normally in your Bibles, we're currently at verse 36. And if we press the next button, it jumps to 38. Because in a lot of the Bibles, in a lot of the scripts from which the Bible is taken, Acts 37 isn't in the original. But if we move down to Acts 37, we get this footnote. And Philip said, if you believe with all your heart, you may. Because the eunuchs asked whether he can get baptized. And he answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Philip didn't say to him, I need you to turn up to a class for 20 weeks. He didn't say, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. He just said, do you believe? Do you believe with all your heart? Yes, Lord, I believe.